Hey guys, George the Dev here. I'm doing a little video. Hopefully this can help you guys learn a bit of code along the way. So I'm actually not going to be releasing the scripts that you are seeing in this video. If you want these scripts, you are just going to simply have to watch along, understand what's happening, and do it yourself. So first things first, I just want to make a note that I've actually gone through already on these cars, and I've changed some of the script stuff, just cleaning up some of the code. Like this one had a bunch of prints in it, and I changed some things where this originally was reading speed and then setting it ahead. I simply just set it to the numbers, and this is just for showing a little bit better. That way you're just not reading a bunch of code with pluses and stuff like that. You can see numbers. So first things first, we're going to talk about why this is important. So here we have two limiters. And what would happen was, we would go under yellow flag, we'd take this limiter, and we would put it over the field. And now both of these cars are set to 70. And then what would happen was, we'd move this out of the way, and we'd go green. And both these cars would go. And if that's all that happened, that'd be fine. However, what would usually happen is the guy in back would go a little early, and smash into this guy, and then they would hook together like this, and they'd push through, and they would hit this speed right here. And when they go through here, they both go 204 studs per second. Instead of being at 70 anymore, they would go from 70 to 204. However, what complicates things is something called bump draft. And that was what this code I was showing here is. So what happens is when this car comes up and hits this car, right, with that ghost block there, right when he hits with the ghost block, it just sends this car at some extra speeds. And that extra speed we can see here is +3. So the way this car was set up originally is that it's set up to be 250 studs per second as the base. So bump draft is looking for you to be at 265 is a maximum. And so if you are at 250, you get bumped, you go up to 253. Now the only problem is, because we were using kill walls specifically for these cars, you can actually get multiple bump blocks. So it's actually not just this block that's the bumper, it's all of these blocks. And if I give some transparency so you can see how much they actually hit, and then I turn this one and give it some neon, so it's super visible. You can actually see when you come up and you fully connect, you're actually being hit by 1, 2, then 3, right there on the front, and then the 4th one right there. You're getting all 4 of those blocks. And the other thing is, if you're moving back and forth enough, you can actually keep hitting these blocks repeatedly. So I remember sometimes I would get hit, I'd be doing 204, I'd get hit, and suddenly I'd be going 220, because you're multiplying out all these. Now the problem with this is when I get hit like this, and I get, so in this particular instance where I'm getting hit by 4 different blocks at once, I'm getting 12 extra speed. So I just went from 204 to 216. And then I end up pulling away from this guy because he's not picking up any extra speed from me. But then I go through this block. Well, I wasn't actually at 204 yet. I was at only 70. And he hits me, I go 82, and I go ahead and I hit this block, and I hit 204. Now what happens is, after 2.5 seconds, I lose my 12 speed. So now instead of going 204, I'm now doing only 192. However, this car, because he wasn't being touched by anybody, comes through, he goes 204 and just goes around me, because I'm now doing 192 as my base, and I can't do anything to make my base better again. So how do we fix that? That's kind of what the hopefulness is here today. And also talking about how do we fix a lot of the other things that are bad in some of this old code. So first we're going to just assign some values. And the easiest way to do this is set up a folder with a bunch of values in them. So I've actually set up those already as well. I also believe that in the particular series I was in, so this is something you guys might want to look for, I'm going to be setting this up where the limiters do not have scripts inside them. I believe the series that I was in doing this race has the limiter speed inside the blocks. You want to remove those. So we go into our limiter script, which originally was titled draft script. I renamed it to limiter. And it had all this. I actually added these. Whoops. And you can actually see this is in my old code from my old drafting. And so we have our max draft here is set to whatever the car speed was at the beginning plus 8. And then this never changes. So this would always have been 258 in the case of these cars are set to 250. So, and then when they get a hit from any block, so whenever the vehicle seat gets hit from any block, it checks. And if the name of the brick is draft, which we get from the draft script, and the speed of the car is less than max draft, which we assigned up here, then I get a plus 6.5 speed boost, and then I lose 1.5 over time. And the times you can see are here. Now the thing is, we're also going to set up our limiters in this script as well. So we'll set those up in a moment. But the way that we're going to set it all up is we're going to set it up through these speeds here. So first things first, we're going to set up some of our constants. So under green flag conditions, the series I was running in used 204. Under yellow flag conditions, it was 70, give or take. Now, they currently have bump draft set up to be 3, and they have draft set up to be 6.5. The other thing that we're going to go and look at is how long should you have that 6.5 for. So right now they have it roughly set. So you get like kind of this initial and then it takes 7 seconds. I don't really know why that code is the way it is. I believe somebody changed those because I don't remember setting them to this kind of weird outputting. But so let's just say you get 4 seconds of draft. So we're actually going to reset all of this up. Oh, also I should put in something that should always be a constant is max draft. So max draft, my recommendation for these speeds would be plus 30. So our local max draft is going to be, in this particular case, so we are currently in the limiter. Script is the script that we're in, limiter. Dot parent is the thing that is parented to, which in this case is the vehicle seat. And then dot speeds dot constants dot max draft plus we're going to give it the green flag condition. So the same thing over again. However, to make our life a little easier, we'll also do local speed folder equals script dot parent dot speeds. And then we can actually remove script dot parents dot speeds like so. So speed folder plus constants, speed folder dot constants dot green flag. Then our local green flag equals speed folder. So we can actually put this like so. And if we want to, we can actually bring the green flag above the max draft. Also do our local yellow flag equals speed folder dot constants dot yellow flag. And then we can actually just replace all of this with just green flag, like so. So now right here, we're getting this red line above it, or below it, I should say, because it's max draft, all of it's lowercase. And we wrote our max draft as max with an uppercase D draft. That's called camel casing. And so if it was like max draft time, speed, you keep capitalizing the secondary words, but you don't capitalize the first word. Now the other thing we want is local draft time equals speed folder dot draft config dot draft time. And so we will do wait for draft time, and then we can make these go a little faster. So I would do 1, 1, 1, 1, or make it even faster than that. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So the whole reason for this, and the other thing is we can do this. Oh, and we also need our draft. Local draft equals speed dot folder, or speed folder dot constants dot draft. And actually something I forgot to do, you want to do dot value. So we're actually not going to do value here. Or actually it's better if we leave all the values off. And I'll show you why that's actually the case in a moment. So, okay, so this is going to be fine the way it is. However, we're going to end up changing all these. And actually, so right here we need to do draft time dot value, because what it's actually going to do is it's going to go to draft time, and then it goes for the value right here, which is 4. And so then this is going to be, so we're actually going to do local minus equals draft dot value divided by 4. And then we can do minus the minus to actually get this down, like so. And because it's going to do minus 4 times. And then we will do this time plus draft dot value. So at this point, our draft is now set up. And the way this draft works is when it hits the draft blocks and script.parent.vehicle seat.max speed is less than or equal to max draft. Our max draft is set up here. It's going to give the speed and then it minuses it away over time. And the reason it minuses its way over time instead of just taking it all away, if the car slows down too fast, the car will just spin itself out. So you want to kind of give it some time to go down. If you're finding that this is actually still too fast and your car is spinning out when it starts slowing down, then just up these times. So then now, and how we're getting that is, the other thing is actually we could just change these all to script.parent because we are already in the parent. Because we're already in the vehicle seat. Not exactly sure why I have it written the way I do, but yeah. Yeah, so we just do script.parent.maxSpeed. However, actually, another thing about it, we're actually going to change these. Sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained at the moment. So we're actually going to change these to local car speed equals speed folder dot car speeds, then local, or well, my car speed, and then local additive speed is what we need. Add equals speed folder dot car speeds dot additive speed. And we're actually going to have to make a whole new script for using these two, but it works out better in the end. So we actually are going to change it around to add.value equals add.value plus draft. And actually I should have mentioned, so these right here are actually string values. And the reason for that is because, and these are number values. So number values, if I do 71.5, I feel dumb. So if these were int values, you wouldn't be able to do that, but these are number values. So I should actually change this. Draft time bump draft time and draft block time. So we can get rid of these, and if we remember, draft time was 4, and then we will actually get back to these two in a while. So draft time is 4. Yeah. So we have our additive value, which is going to be this one, equals the additive value plus the draft value. So it's going to be 0 plus 6.5. And then you're going to wait the amount of time for draft is 4. So make sure to use number values inside your folders. And then script.parent.maxSpeed. So we actually want to change these as well. So once again, we'll just use the add value. And so we're going to minus these down. And then for these, when I hit these blocks here, when I hit pace speed and green speed, or race speed, we're going to set the car speed dot value equals yellow flag dot value, and then car speed dot value equals green flag dot value. And so this all right here will be our limiters. And these actually are going to work flawlessly. So yeah, I don't think I mentioned this so much before, but so I have all these folders set up inside speeds, and then these are all number values. And so if you want to set all these up, what you do is you go to the plus, and you can type in folder, and then when you do the number values, you just type in number, and then they come up. So you want to set all those up. And so now, let's go and fix the bump draft to be very similar. So these, we can actually bring all these over and kind of see what we need. So we don't need green and yellow flag, and get rid of those. We do want, actually we do need green flag for max draft reasons. We don't need draft, and we don't need draft time. We actually need different ones. We need bump draft time. So we'll uppercase the D, do bump draft time, and change that like so. And then, once again, change the D to uppercase and lowercase bump. And then we don't need, well, we will need our minus actually. And so we will do bump draft. In this case, we're going to minus it 3 times. So, like so. And right now, let's just go and do our minuses in the code. And we are going to change this to bump draft value. And so now we also need to reset our speed folder because our bump draft is in, it's in the block right here. So to get to vehicle seat and get our speed folder, we are in the script, we're going to the parent, then the parent, which is the model, then down into vehicle seat. And so the way you would write that is script.parent.parent.vehicle seat. And you can actually see Roblox kind of helps you find these things. And then we have our speeds. And so now we are back into the speed folder, and then the rest of these will actually just set automatically because of the speed folder. So it makes life really easy. And actually in this case, we don't actually need the my car speed. So now once again, this is going to be looking for the vehicle seat. So it's already set up good, script.parent.parent.vehicle seat.max speed. So this is going to be looking for the car's current speed at the moment that you get hit and make sure that it's below. In this case, we want max draft value, I believe, because we did that over here. Oh, I left off the dot value. So you want to make sure to always have your dot values. If you have a problem, likely it's because you left off a dot value. And the minuses don't need a dot value because they don't actually have a value. These are just, we've been setting these locally inside the script. And so now we just need to change out the fact that this is going to be additive speed. So in this case, once again, we will do just add value and add value. And then once we have that whole thing again, we can just copy it and do the same thing for the minuses. And then we can copy this entire phrase and do that for the minuses. And lastly, we want to change out our bump draft time. So bump draft time value. And then once again, we'll just kind of do our 0.5s. You actually don't need the 0. So I like it better without personally, but that's up to everyone. And so just a little bit about reading more code. So this is a script.parent.touched event. So what this means is the script's parent, which is the block that you see here that's yellow, when it gets touched by something, it connects this, and then it runs the function called touchy. And we can see it's named right there, touchy. And then hit is the block it hit. You can actually read a lot of stuff from that. So hit.name is bumper. Well, if hit.name is bumper. So the thing it hit, if it's named bumper, and the car speed is below the max draft speed, then, you know, do these things. So at this point, the bump draft script is complete, like so. Now on to the draft script. I've actually done a lot of cleaning up here. So if you have my old draft script, there's some things in this that are actually missing. Things like shape equals 1, we don't need that. There was like a friction up here, you don't need that either. So all sorts of stuff was changed around here. So required speed, we've actually not set that before. So we can go ahead and actually set one of those up. And this is actually to prevent you spawning bricks too early. You want to make sure that these guys are spawning bricks kind of close to the top end of speed, just that way they're not spawning constantly. So in this case, let's just do 25. And once again, we can get a lot of our things back here. And no more that you saw me get rid of is just going to be our max draft again anyways. So local green flag. once again. So actually, this works out in that pulling it straight from the bump draft, the draft block is actually here. And so, once again, there's another instance where it's script.parent.vehicle.speed. So this is actually set up already from our bump draft script. Then we have our green flags already set, our max draft is already set. And then we actually don't need these at all. And then we don't need this either. Or actually, we can set up time between blocks. And we can do local timing. So time is actually something that you can use to tell real time. That's why you saw it light up blue. So you can't use that. Local timing equals speed folder dot draft config dot time between blocks. So in this particular case, it's already 0.5, so I will set that. And we will wait timing. So if the speed is above what is going to be minimum speed, and we actually have not set that one up yet, min draft, and we'll set that right there, equals speed folder dot, actually it's going to be green flag minus our min draft, so, or well, min speed. Yeah, or I guess it's probably easier if we just stop doing it that way. So green flag is 204, and then just set your own min speed. So do like 185. And so then we do speed folder constants dot min speed. And so then we do min draft dot value. And so right here, what you're reading is script.parent.velocity.magnitude. And so what this is doing is it's reading, so the draft brick is this one right here. It is actually reading, I should get rid of these two. It's reading the speed of this block. Because every block has a speed and it is their velocity. So if the speed of this block is less than or equal to the minimum speed, just turn off the trails because you're not creating blocks. However, if the speed of the block is above or is below or equal to max draft, because it's only going to reach this if it doesn't fall into this. So we don't actually need to be like, oh, if you are above minimum and you're below maximum, because it'll never reach this section if it's already below minimum. And that's only because this is an else if. So we did if, then else. So in this case, if it doesn't do this, else if we get here. So it spawns a new part. It parents the part into the following. And then if then we name it draft. We anchor it so that way it stays up in midair. It doesn't fall through the ground. We make sure that the can collision on it is false so that way players don't run into it. Then we make the size of this so it's the width of the car, just a random height for the block, and then the length of the draft. Then we turn it reflectance 0.5, and you'll see why we do this in a moment. And then we make it transparency 1 so that way you can't see it. So if you want this to actually be seeable, you'd put it like 0.5 or something like that. And then we set the C frame of it. And the reason why we're setting C frame of it Specifically, we're setting the C-frame of it to this block. C-frame handles both the position and also the angle, so the rotation, the orientation specifically inside here. So it'll set the position and the orientation directly to wherever this block is in the entire workspace. So if you're going around a corner and you're on a banked corner, it's going to set the blocks that way it's banked with the corner and to the angle of the corner. So this is just really good. And then we wait 1 second, and then we give it this next script that we're going to take a look at, script.vel, which we can see is being given to it by right in here. And then the parent of v is p, and p is the part that we just made, and then we turn on the trails. So if you want to completely get rid of the trails, you can actually get rid of these 2 lines here, get rid of these 2 lines here, and then just delete your trails. So now what we're going to look at is vel. So I've actually also changed vel. So vel had a lot of extra code in it that didn't need. This is all you need in the vel script. So this is a while true do. Same with this one. I didn't mention this earlier. So while true do runs constantly. And it runs everything inside between while true do and end. And you actually need a wait in while true do. If I remove this, the problem is it doesn't. It's basically running on every frame, but it's actually trying to run before a frame ends. So it tries to run 2 times in 1 frame, and that's impossible. And so the code breaks. So you actually do need a wait. However, we're going to use our wait as the time between bricks. So it actually works out for us in this case. And the same thing here, we're actually just waiting 1/10 of a second, so it's happening constantly, but 1/10 of a second each time. And then we're taking the reflectance of the part that we made, the draft block, and we're just upping it by 0.03. And then if it makes it to 1, if it goes above 1 reflectance, we destroy it. I believe my old script says remove. You actually want to change to destroy. It works better than remove. So in this particular case, we can actually figure out how long the block is going to last. So every second, we're gaining 0.3. And remember, we start at 0.5. So after a second, we're at 0.8. And then to go 2/10 more would be it'd be a little less than a second. So about 1.5 seconds that the block is going to last. However, we actually put in something for this. Draft block time. So we take our, actually no, we don't want that. So remove that one. And this is just something, personally I think this is fine the way it is. If you want your blocks to last longer, just make this less, or make this more. So just change this around until you kind of find your right fitting, in your opinion. And actually something I hadn't remembered before. So actually, I'm not sure if there's more. Okay, so there's actually 2 bump draft blocks, which I guess that works. Just because the only pieces here that are bump drafting for them are these, and so they won't actually reach this block until you destroy the rest of this rear end. But so now here's the thing. At this point, everything is ready. Everything is good to go. But none of this works without one extra script that we haven't written yet. So to be clear, I've not been working inside this car, so we can actually get rid of this car. We need one more script, and for this particular case, we're going to actually use not our network script. Also, so if you didn't know, this is actually the quote-unquote anti-vision lag script, And just a little teaching moment of what it's doing is, so the seat is the seat, script.parent. Players are all the players in the game. Then when the seat has a change occur to it, and we have this function here. So when something happens to the seat, anything at all, so if the seat changes speed, or if the seat changes any value inside, specifically the one that we're looking for is occupant. So when somebody gets in the seat, this changes. And that is, so whatever changes, we call it prop. And if the prop is occupant, so if the thing that changes occupant, do this thing. And so the thing that it's doing is it's, the humanoid is the seat.occupant, and then we are getting the player from the character, because the character is the occupant. And so we're using services here to get the player from the character, and we're getting humanoid.parent is the character, and then we are setting the network ownership of this to nil. Now the reason why we actually have some extra code in here, we can actually get rid of this code completely. And same with this one. And we can also get rid of that. This is the bare bones of what makes vision lag work for what you people are generally using from My Free Model 1. However, if you want to make this a little bit different, so you could actually change this around to instead give network ownership to a specific player in mind. So this code specifically, we could actually change it so that way we could set the network ownership to the player that got in the car. Now Roblox automatically already does this. This is what causes vision lag, and if you're curious about what that all has to do, you can check out my other video where I talk about how vision lag works. But Roblox automatically, when you sit in a seat, will set the network ownership to the player anyways. So it's actually pointless to have that. So if you actually wanted to clean up this code and make it even smaller, if you're really into that kind of thing, this is all you would need for anti-vision lag coding. So the last thing that we need actually though, is we're just going to do Control D on the limiter script so I get a duplicate, and we're going to call this change speed. Let me open up change speed. We're actually going to get rid of a lot of this. The only thing that we're not going to get rid of is speed folder, car speed, and add speed. And we are going to write a while true do wait. And this time we're actually going to send the wait to the end of the script. And we're just simply going to do local cur speed equals car speed plus add. And I forgot the values there. Dot value and dot value. Always make sure to do those dot values. And then script.parent, which is the seat, max speed equals cur speed. So why do we need to do this? So this is going to run just constantly throughout the game, and all it's going to do is it's going to take these two values, add them together, and set the car speed to that. And why does that work? Why does that fix all the problems that we talked about at the beginning? So now, when this car and this car has the bump, so we resize this over them, they're both at 70, we move it out of the way, and now we go on the start, and this car runs into this car, turns him up to 82. How is he getting 82 though? He's getting 82 because he's at 70 here, and he's at 12 here. And then he goes through this, and when he goes through this, instead of being at 204, He's now at 204 here, but he still has 12 here. So now he's at 216. And then, when the additive speed goes back down to 0, he's still at 204 base speed. And so his base speed never gets messed up by the limiters. His base speed will always be the same when he goes through the limiters, and it's just the additive speed is what changes everything. So I know this is really long and drawn out, and admittedly, I was kind of rambling throughout it, and a lot of this wasn't very set up and planned ahead of time. I was just kind of going through the process. So yeah, this probably could be super cut down. I'm apologizing ahead of that. I have no idea how long this video is. But I hope at least some of this helps some of you guys learn. I know how much you guys have talked about wanting to learn code, and I feel like this is one of those things. It's a simple enough project, and hopefully taught you a bit. And hopefully you guys have much more fun with a more robust drafting system. And the thing is, you could start trying to think in your head, turn the cogwheels a bit, how this could work for something like fuel, or how this could also work for pit limiters. All you have to do to add like a pit limiter, let's say you have a pit limiter that you want to be like 55, you have your pit limiter here, you just name it like pit speed, and then all you'd have to do is you would go in to your limiter script, and you would just grab this, drop it down, you just change this to, pit speed, and then you make the car speed value minus the pit speed value, and you'd put the pit speed value here, and you'd write it all up here, and so it makes it really easy. You can keep adding on more things. And just think about other ways that you can use touch events, and you'll actually figure out that 90% of the things I've coded in the past and given out for free are touched events, and a lot of the other things that I've made that I haven't given out are also touched events. You can use touch events for a lot of things that are really easy, really simple to code, and you can do a lot of fun with them. So have fun. I'm thinking about putting out a few more videos to try to help you guys learn some of the coding tricks of my past. So if you guys like this video, drop a comment below telling me what else you'd like to see me talk about, how it's done. Maybe improving some other scripts that you guys can think about that are really old and really ancient and need updates, maybe have certain issues. I'd like to take a look at them. So, I'll see you guys around.